Rocco's heartbreak, a juvenile justice twist in Port Charles. When you're old, Rocco Falconer made the impulsive decision to break into Professor Dalton's laboratory at Port Charles University. He had no idea the consequences would reshape his entire life. What began as a mission to expose alleged illegal animal testing has spiraled into a nightmare scenario that has left his entire family, from his determined grandmother Laura to his anguished parents Dante and Lulu, struggling to navigate the unforgiving world of juvenile justice. The break-in that changed everything. The night started like any other teenage adventure. Rocco, alongside his friends Danny and Charlotte, carefully made their way into Dalton's restricted lab using a stolen key fob. Their goal was noble enough to gather evidence of illegal experimentation on animals that they believed the professor was conducting in secret. But the universe had other plans. As they searched through the dimly lit facility, scanning computers and filing cabinets for incriminating documents, the door suddenly opened. Dalton had arrived unexpectedly. Danny and Charlotte managed to slip into the shadows, crouching behind laboratory equipment as Dalton methodically made his way through the space. Rocco, thinking quickly and acting selflessly, decided his friends had the most to lose. He stood up, revealing himself to the professor, hoping Dalton would focus his anger on him alone. "I know what you're doing here," Rocco declared, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "You're testing on animals, and I'm going to make sure my grandmother knows about it." But Dalton didn't respond to the accusation as Rocco expected. Instead, he recognized the mayor's grandson immediately. "You're the boy from the Metro Court," Dalton said, his expression darkening as realization dawned. Before Rocco could react, Dalton grabbed him by the arm and forcibly dragged him out of the laboratory. "You've committed breaking and entering, and you're going to pay for it," he snarled, his grip firm and unyielding. When campus security arrived moments later, they placed handcuffs on a shocked Rocco and read him his rights. Laura's nightmare. At the debate, Laura Collins was in the middle of what should have been a triumphant mayoral debate when word reached her that her grandson had been arrested. She sat in the lecture hall, across from her opponent, Ezra Bull, who was already grinning wickedly at the news. Rocco's arrest was precisely the ammunition Bull needed to undermine Laura's credibility as mayor. How could she run the city when she couldn't even control her own grandson? The implication hung in the air like a dark cloud. Without hesitation, Laura abandoned the debate. "I'm sorry, but there's been a family emergency," she told the moderators, standing abruptly. She rushed to the police station, her mind spinning. Rocco was at the PCPD in handcuffs, arrested for breaking and entering a felony that could derail his entire future. The weight of a grandmother's worry crushed down on her shoulders. Dante's conflicted heart. 4. Dante Falconer, Rosa Estate, came on the worst possible day. He was beginning his new position as police commissioner of Port Charles, a role that demanded he enforce the law impartially, regardless of personal connections. When his own son was brought in by officers, the Irony wasn't lost on anyone. He looked at Rocco sitting in the interrogation room, handcuffed and visibly frightened, and felt a surge of protective anger, mixed with helplessness. This shouldn't have happened, Dante said quietly to Lulu, who arrived at the station moments after learning the news. What was he thinking? But deep down, Dante understood. Rocco had been motivated by what he believed was right. They had taught him to stand up against wrongdoing. Now, their son was paying the price for having a conscience. The interrogation was brief. Nathan West, now working as Danny's partner, took Rocco's statement about the break-in. Rocco explained everything: the discovery that there were no animals in the lab, how Danny and Charlotte managed to escape, and how he had sacrificed himself to protect his friends. When Nathan suggested Britt should leave since Rocco already had his parents present, the detective didn't realize just how complicated this situation was about to become. The trial that shattered hope. The court hearing came swiftly. Judge Eva Heron presided over the case, her expression stern and businesslike as she reviewed the charges. Breaking and entering was serious, no matter the defendant's age or intentions. Despite Laura's best efforts and Dante's pleas for leniency, the evidence was damning. Rocco had in fact broken into a restricted laboratory without authorization. The law was the law. The judge's gavel came down with the finality of a death knell. Rocco was to be remanded to juvenile detention. He would be sent to a state reformatory despite being under years old. The sentence was designed to teach him a harsh lesson, though even Laura's connections couldn't overturn it. As the officers approached to take Rocco away, Lulu clutched her son's hand, tears streaming down her face. Dante stood rigid, his jaw clenched, powerless to prevent the system from taking his son. Britt's unexpected role. But there was one person whose presence at the courthouse seemed to catch everyone off guard. Britt Westbourne. Though Rocco's biological circumstances were complicated, Britt had carried him after stealing Lulu's fertilized embryo years ago. A secret that had only recently been revealed to Rocco. There she stood, concern etched across her face. Their relationship had blossomed since Rocco learned the truth about his birth, transforming from polite acquaintance to something deeper and more meaningful. When Rocco was taken into custody, Britt moved forward. "I need to speak to him," she told the officers firmly. They hesitated, looking to Dante for approval. He nodded and Britt was allowed a few moments with Rocco before he was transported. She took his hands and hers, her eyes reflecting genuine concern and affection. "Rocco, listen to me," she said, her voice soft but steady. "I know this feels impossible right now. I know you're scared and angry and confused, but you need to hear this. You are stronger than you know. You did what you thought was right, and that matters. Inside that reformatory, you're going to need that strength." Rocco's eyes welled with tears as he listened to Britt speak. This woman who had given birth to him, who had carried him for months before giving him up, who had only recently re-entered his life, was offering him words of comfort when his own mother was beside herself with grief. "I'll be waiting for you when you get out," Britt continued. "We all will. You're going to get through this, and you're going to come out even stronger. Just remember why you did this in the first place. Remember that you were trying to protect something you believed in. That's who you are, Rocco. Hold on to that." A bittersweet connection. As Rocco was led away, the brief encounter with Britt seemed to fortify something inside him. Lulu watched this exchange with mixed emotions, pain at seeing her son leave, but also a grudging acknowledgement that Britt's presence, her words, had seemed to help him find some measure of resolve. Dante stood with his armor on Lulu, both of them broken but determined. Over the following weeks, something unexpected bloomed between Rocco and Britt. The reformatory allowed limited phone calls and visits, and Britt made a point to be there whenever she could. She wasn't his mother in the traditional sense, and she never overstepped that boundary that Lulu and Dante maintained. Instead, she became something else, a confidant, an advocate, a source of encouragement from the outside world. Rocco found that Britt's letters and occasional visits gave him hope. She wrote about the outside world, about people rooting for him, about the person he was becoming. Through this trial, their relationship transformed from a curiosity about shared biology into something genuinely warm and supportive. For the first time, Rocco understood that family wasn't just about who raised you or who gave birth to you. It was about who showed up for you when everything fell apart. Rocco's journey through the juvenile justice system became an unexpected catalyst for growth, not just for him, but for everyone around him. Laura had to reconcile her political ambitions with her inability to shield her grandson from consequences. Dante struggled with his role as police commissioner, forced to uphold the same laws that sent his own son to detention. Lulu grappled with her protective instincts and her need to let Rocco face the consequences of his actions. And Britt, the woman caught in the complicated middle of it all, discovered that her connection to Rocco transcended the scandal of his conception. It was rooted in genuine care and concern. In a twist that nobody anticipated, the trial that seemed destined to tear the family apart instead drew them closer together. Rocco would emerge from his time in reformatory as a young man who had learned hard lessons about the consequences of his choices, but also as someone who understood the true meaning of family and support. And Britt's role in his journey would cement a relationship that proved families could be formed in the most unexpected ways, held together by love and loyalty rather than biology alone. Next, we will learn about the issue of Michael and Justinda's surprising connection that's turning heads in Port Charles. In the ever-twisting world of General Hospital, certain character pairings emerge like hidden gems amid the drama, pulling viewers into unexpected territories. Michael Corinthos, the steadfast heir to the Quartermain legacy, and Jacinda, the enigmatic newcomer with a shadowy past, represent one such pairing that's defying all logical expectations. What begins as a straightforward business Deal, Michael hiring her to vouch for his whereabouts during a heated family confrontation quickly evolves into something far more layered. As if the script writers have infused their interactions with an undercurrent of inevitable chemistry. Picture this. Late night meetings in dimly lit coffee shops on the outskirts of town where Michael's guarded expressions soften just a fraction when Justinda shares a observation about the town's relentless gossip mill. These moments aren't scripted as overt flirtations, but carry a subtle tension, hinting at deeper affinities waiting to surface. Their initial arrangement reeks of Port Charles' signature intrigue laced with moral ambiguity that keeps fans on edge. Justinda, fresh off a controversial scheme where she assisted Nina and Portia in administering ketamine to Drew during a tense boardroom showdown, steps into Michael's orbit, not as a savior, but as a reluctant ally. The alibi he needs, it's tied to a corporate espionage plot involving ELQ's latest merger, where Michael's absence could unravel everything he's built. Yet, as they rehearse their cover story in a secluded park bench overlooking the harbor, the conversation drifts from alibis to personal confessions. Justinda admitting how the ketamine incident was her desperate bid to escape a cycle of bad decisions, while Michael reveals his frustration with the constant betrayals that define his professional life. This isn't mere convenience. It's a collision of worlds where trust is the rarest commodity, and their shared secrecy forges an unspoken bond. Adding to the intrigue, whispers among the nurses at General Hospital suggest involvement might have unintended ripples, like drawing unwanted attention from Sonny's crew, who suspect Michael's alibi is too conveniently timed. Michael's romantic history reads like a tragic playbook, full of heartbreak that has left him weary yet yearning for genuine connection. From his early days, entangled with fiery passions that ended in loss, to more recent wounds, he's navigated relationships that crumble under the weight of deception and fate's cruel twists. Take his marriage to Willow, which shattered spectacularly when she sought solace in the arms of Drew, Michael's own uncle. Amid a whirlwind of family secrets and medical crises at the hospital, Willow's infidelity wasn't just a betrayal. It exposed Michael's pattern of investing deeply in women who, intentionally or not, amplify his inner turmoil. Think of the late-night strategy sessions where he balances fatherhood to WY and Scout with the cutthroat demands of Elk only to return home to emotional voids. Now, with divorce papers still fresh in his mind, Michael approaches Justinda with the caution of someone who's been burned too many times. Yet her unfiltered honesty during their first clandestine meeting, her quip about Port Charles being a pressure cooker for the soul, cracks his defenses in ways he didn't anticipate. Inventing a new layer here. Imagine Michael confiding in his sister Jocelyn about this business associate who's oddly perceptive, prompting Jocelyn to tease him about finally meeting someone who matches his intensity without the drama. Justinda, on the other hand, embodies a brand of resilience that's both captivating and cautionary, setting her apart from the polished socialites of Port Charles High society. She's not the wide-eyed engine. Instead, her quick wit and street-smart instincts make her a force honed from years of navigating unforgiving Circumstances. Defensive by nature. Justinda pivots conversations with effortless grace, turning potential interrogations into deflections that reveal just enough to intrigue without exposing vulnerabilities. During a rain-soaked stakeout to solidify their alibi, she shares fragments of her backstory. Not as sob stories, but as survival tactics, like how she once talked her way out of a shady deal gone wrong in a seedy motel on the edge of town. What makes her compelling is this authenticity. She's decoding Michael not through flirtation, but through observing his subtle tells, the way his jaw tightens when politics arise or how his eyes light up discussing his kids. To deepen this, consider a newly imagined scene where Jinda challenges Michael during a heated argument over the ellipse risks, saying, "You're not hiring a puppet. You're getting someone who sees through the quarter main shine. What's that worth to you?" Her words linger, forcing him to confront how rarely anyone challenges his controlled facade. Delving deeper, their story transcends a simple transaction, evolving into a narrative of redemption that echoes classic tales with a gritty Port Charles edge. Justinda's history as a sex worker in the underbelly of a nearby city isn't glorified or glossed over. It's portrayed as a gritty chapter of endurance, where she balanced precarious gigs with dreams of stability that always seemed just out of reach. Fast forward to now, through Na's influence and Michael's indirect advocacy, she's landed a legitimate role at Crimson Magazine, handling administrative tasks that involve real deadlines and team collaborations, a far cry from her past instability. This shift isn't handed to her on a silver platter. Michael advocates during a casual office drop-in, praising her organizational skills from their alibi prep, which Nina notes with a knowing smile. It's this pivot from survival mode to chosen paths that sparks the real intrigue as Justinda begins to explore what trust feels like beyond mere utility. In an added detail, picture her first day at work, nervously adjusting her blouse while Michael texts a subtle encouragement. "You've got this. Poor Charles needs more like you." It's not rescue, it's recognition, planting seeds of mutual respect. The allure of their dynamic draws unmistakable parallels to Pretty Woman, but reimagined through the lens of soap opera realism, where fairy tale elements clash with everyday harshness. Unlike the film's glamorous Hollywood backdrop, Justinda's rescue unfolds in mundane settings like the Metro Court lobby or quiet diner booths, emphasizing emotional authenticity over cinematic sweeps. Michael's role isn't that of a white knight billionaire. He's a man equally scarred whose quarter main privileges mask personal isolations. Much like how Edward's old school expectations pressure him to maintain an untouchable image, the power dynamic flips subtly when Justinda turns down an extra favor. Michael offers financial cushioning for her new start, insisting, "I didn't sign up for charity. I signed up for equal ground." This exchange, invented to heighten tension, underscores the story's core empowerment through partnership, not patronage, as they navigate escalating threats like Drew. Piecing together the Alib's flaws, their alliance strengthens, with Justinda's insights proving invaluable during a late LQ crisis, saving Michael from a potential scandal. Looking ahead, if General Hospital commits to this arc, it could blossom into a romance that's refreshingly grounded, free from the overdramatized tropes that often plagued Port Charles. Pairings. No grand gestures or instant declarations. Instead, envision stolen glances during community events at the hospital or just into joining Michael for a casual family barbecue where she charms WY with a story about resilient underdogs. Their synergy might even influence broader plots, like Justinda uncovering a crimson leak tied to Michael's rivals, blending her skills with his strategy for a joint victory. This isn't about erasing past damages. Michael's trust issues and Justinda's guarded heart will clash spectacularly. First, but about two individuals whose jagged edges align just enough to create harmony. Next, we will dive into the surprising return to the spotlight of beloved star Kelly Monaco and what it means for fans eagerly awaiting any whispers from Port Charles. In a moment that caught everyone off guard, Kelly Monaco, the talented actress who brought so much fire to the role of Samacol on General Hospital, has stepped back into the public eye after months of complete silence. It felt like an eternity since her abrupt departure from the show in late, leaving viewers heartbroken and speculating wildly about her next move. This week, cameras caught her in the vibrant audience at a live taping of Dancing with the Stars, the very competition where she once dazzled audiences with her own graceful performances. Picture this: Kelly gliding through the studio lights, her presence alone turning heads among the cheering crowd. A subtle reminder of the charisma that made her a household name in daytime television. Dressed in a sleek, form-fitting black gown that accentuated her timeless elegance, Kelly appeared more vibrant and confident than ever, as if the break from the relentless pace of soap opera life had rejuvenated her spirit. The dress, with its subtle shimmer under the stage lights, hugged her figure just right, evoking memories of her past DWTS seasons where she competed fiercely in with partner Alec Mazzo and again in alongside Valentine Chmarovsky. Fans who spotted her on social media clips from the event couldn't help but flood comment sections with excitement, noting how her radiant smile lit up the room amid performances from this season. Stars, including a high-energy salsa routine that had the audience on their feet. It's these small glimpses that remind us why Kelly has always been more than just an actress. She's a performer at heart, capable of captivating crowds in any arena. For the devoted General Hospital community, this sighting stirred a whirlwind of emotions, especially given how scarce Kelly has been since wrapping up her time in Port Charles. Her social media feeds, once buzzing with behind-scenes glimpses and fan interactions, have gone eerily quiet, and her professional projects have remained under wraps, fueling endless rumors and heartfelt pleas for her comeback. Many longtime viewers recall the electric chemistry Sam McCall shared with characters like Jason Morgan and Drew Kane, dynamics that were through decades of intricate plots involving family secrets, corporate intrigue, and pulse-pounding romances. Kelly's portrayal turned Sam into a fierce, multifaceted heroine who could crack a safe 1 minute and mend a broken heart the next, making her exit feel like a gaping void in the show's tapestry. The circumstances surrounding Kelly's departure from General Hospital still linger like an unsolved mystery in the minds of fans who remember it as a jarring and unceremonious farewell that clash with her status as a true icon of the genre. In late, amid whispers of budget cuts and creative shifts, her character was written out in a hasty manner that left storylines dangling and audiences protesting loudly on forums and petitions. Executive producer Frank Valentini faced a torrent of backlash for what many perceived as a lack of respect toward a veteran who had embodied Sam for over 2 decades, evolving the role from a con artist with a troubled past to a resilient mother and loyal friend, inventing scenarios in fanfiction. Enthusiasts have imagined elaborate returns where Sam uncovers a hidden Quartermain conspiracy or reunites with old allies in a bid to expose corruption at ELQ Enterprises, highlighting just how deeply her presence is missed in the daily drama behind the velvet curtains of the show's production. The exact details of what transpired remain shrouded in secrecy, with no official statements shedding light on the negotiations or decisions that led to this pivotal change. Insiders have hinted at broader industry pressures like evolving viewer demographics and the push for fresh narratives. But for Kelly's supporters, it feels personal as snub to the legacy she helped build since joining the cast. In her chemistry with co-stars, such as the intense partnerships that drove ratings during Sweeps Weeks, added layers of emotional depth that elevated episodes into must-watch events. Without those insider revelations, fans continued to piece together timelines from vague interviews and leaked set photos, wondering if creative differences or scheduling conflicts played a role in sidelining such a powerhouse performer. Adding to the intrigue, Kelly's announcement last year about launching a podcast alongside her longtime best friend, former Miss USA, Shauna Mahler, sparked a flicker of hope that she might share her side of the story directly with listeners. The project was teased as a candid exploration of life beyond the soaps, touching on everything from Hollywood survival tips to personal anecdotes about balancing fame with family, Shauna's own experiences in pageants and reality TV promised a dynamic duo. Envision with episodes featuring guest spots from fellow actresses and light-hearted segments on self-care routines that kept them camera-ready. It seemed like the perfect platform for Kelly to reclaim her narrative. Yet, much to the disappointment of eager subscribers who pre-saved the feed, the podcast never materialized, vanishing into the ether without a single episode or explanation, leaving followers to speculate if timing issues or shifting priorities derailed the venture. Kelly herself has maintained a poised silence on all fronts, offering no interviews or posts that address the podcast's fate or her general hospital tenure. A choice that speaks volumes about her preference for privacy in turbulent times. At this juncture, with months passed since the initial buzz, it's unlikely we'll hear her break that quiet anytime soon. Though her DWTS appearance suggests she's content forging new paths away from the spotlight's harshest glare. Perhaps she's channeling her energy into off-screen pursuits like mentoring aspiring dancers or exploring script writing, drawing from the resilience that defined her on-screen persona. For now, this enigmatic approach only heightens the anticipation, turning every public sighting into a potential clue. As General Hospital marches on, Without Salma call, weaving new tales of romance in the nurse's ball aftermath and shadowy alliances in the Cassadine empire. Fans hold on to the dream of Kelly's triumphant return to Port Charles. Her legacy endures through memorable arcs like the explosive revelations during the baby swap saga or the high-stakes investigations that kept viewers glued to their screens. Whether it's a guest spot tying up loose ends or a full-fledged comeback shaking up the status quo, the possibility keeps the conversation alive in living rooms and online communities alike. Stay tuned to the ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel for the latest updates, breakdowns, and exclusive insights. Because in the world of Port Charles, nothing stays buried forever. What are your thoughts on Kelly's reemergence? Drop them in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a beat in the drama. Until next time, keep spoiling the surprises.